Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Today, I would like to talk to those among you who are planning to apply for PhD in social sciences. Don't get scared with the title of this talk as it says think before you leap. Take this as a thought to get ready for the leap. I have no intention to discourage anyone to go for PhD. Instead, the objective of today's talk is to help you to be prepared and set realistic goals before you proceed for PhD application. Let us begin with minimum academic requirements to apply for a PhD program. Well, a general academic criteria is to have 2 years master's or MPhil or MS degree in the relevant field and from recognized university. And yes, there is also a minimum grading or scoring criteria. I mean, your grades or percentage score or CGPA will also matter. However, it may be different for different universities and also the countries where you apply for. So it is always required that you read the detailed instruction on eligibility criteria as given by the university on their websites. Now, another criteria may be the language proficiency. Generally, foreign universities may ask for a certificate to show your language proficiency in English. And here I am referring to the universities where the medium of instruction is English. Again, you should read the instructions before you apply, but most of the time, IELTS with a band score 6.0 is good enough to show your language proficiency. Another important thing is the research proposal. Maybe not all the faculties or the universities where you are applying will ask you for a research proposal at the initial stage of admission. However, it is very much possible that they can talk to you about it in your selection interview, or maybe they will ask you to present your research during your selection interview. So, while applying for PhD, carefully read about the ongoing projects on the faculty websites where you are going to apply for a PhD. Generally, the PhD positions are offered to seek researchers for specific projects. However, these projects may be broad enough that you can have your own research plans redirected to the research in demand. Again, this is a call for PhD page on the university website where you will get more information about it. In short, you should consider to meet these requirements better than the others because getting enrolled in PhD always is to win a competition. Okay, now one thing that is very important to consider is your clarity within yourself that why you want to do PhD. Okay, let me think about some reasons why one would like to do PhD. That is for sure a demanding job to do. For example, I am ambitious to get higher education in research and practice. I need to improve my chances to get better job and good salary. I want to be a researcher to do scientific research with a quality, or this is the only option to get jobs. And there may be other reasons, and that is why the title of this talk was Think Before You Leap. You must have a clarity within yourself that why you are going for PhD program. One or all these reasons may be true for you, and they are anyhow pushing you to go for a PhD. But then you should be aware of what a PhD study may demand in connection with your efforts, integrity, management, and resilience that you will put during your PhD. Uh, Now, as I said, that you should read the PhD call for PhD students carefully before you apply. There will be sufficient information that may help you to see your eligibility, and you can contact me if you find something confusing. Now, I am going to share some lines written by a PhD student about her stress while doing PhD. Let me read it for you. It was during the second year of my PhD when I started to realize that things were not quite right. I was working all the time and at all hours of the day. I was barely sleeping. I was crying nearly every day. Somehow I managed to push on with my PhD work because I was determined to be a successful academic. I was driven to write multiple publications, do multiple conference presentations, win awards, and accomplish this all in a timely fashion of 3 years. But it seemed that no matter how much work I did or how hard I tried, it was never good enough for my advisor. I felt the pressure to do more and more. I was disappointed in myself for my apparent inability to handle doing a PhD. Things got worse, and then they got better, and I had lost the will to continue on it. These are the thoughts of a PhD student that she had during her PhD, and you can see that it shows a lot of stress and pressure that she faced. A study on mental health problems of PhD students finds that 1 in 2 PhD students experiences psychological distress. Uh, 1 in 3 is at risk of common psychiatric disorder. The prevalence of mental health problems in PhD students is higher than the other educated population, and the work and organizational context are significant predictors of PhD stress. So this is evidence from the research that I mentioned here. Um, so you see that it is very common to get stressed in PhD studies. Quoting these lines from the PhD students and a study about the mental health of mental health problems of PhD students, I did not mean that PhD is something like that, but it is just to tell you that if the people doing PhD are reporting stress or mental health problems during their PhD, it is very common for several PhD students across the world. So, PhD is a job. It is never easy anywhere in the world. So, you will hardly find a PhD holder who have not gone through these phases. There are a lot of things that you have to take care during your PhD. For example, you may have self-exposed high expectations because you are ambitious to do PhD, such as sometimes you overlook the realities and you set unrealistic goal for you. You may have a problem with the work-life time management. I mean, your personal life and work. It is challenging to manage both. There are bureaucratic processes, for example, getting ethical approvals for your research project, seeking fundings and grants. It involves a lot of bureaucratic processes. And then budget and finance. This is also related to your personal expenses and expenses on the family, besides your academic expenses. And the workload that may include teaching, supervision, other departmental commitments. You have to do some coursework as well, and then you have to think about publications and meetings, conference and seminars. So you see that PhD is a real tough job. But once you decide for it with ambition and motivation, I will suggest 4 key considerations that you should work on. Now, let us talk about the key considerations that you should pay attention regardless of why you are doing PhD. First, PhD is a full time job and it requires commitment. So, if you think doing PhD is as simple like doing a part time job, I'm sorry, it will not work like that. You will have to complete courses, do research, attend meetings and conferences, and maybe some teaching duties, for example, if you are doing a paid PhD. So, this is a job, anyhow, and you must be willing and prepared to give it quality time for quality production. Second, management. The day you join your PhD study, get ready for multitasking that requires a sound sense of work life management. This is often the stage where you feel stressed and sometimes overwhelmed. Remember, things don't get settled immediately. Take your time to think about managing your life and work together. Plan well before time and always have a space to adjust unpredicted stuff. You need a sound body and sound mind to do PhD. So invest your time on the well-being of your body and mind. Most often, students doing PhD disturb their life by rushing to the things instead of having patience and consistency. Third important thing is your resilience. By the way, I don't think that resilience should be seen as your personality trait that you may have or may not have. Instead, I will see that it is your experience, how you face the change and challenge and the stress that it may cause. Often, with your commitments and management skills, you are able to be resilient, and it is pretty obvious that PhD will definitely test your patient resilience as you progress towards its completion. Fourth, important thing that I will say the backbone of your PhD work is the integrity. Take it as your moral responsibility to work with honesty and self confidence. Never get trapped by the so called advertisements that offer you to complete your task, to do your analysis, to collect data for you, and to do your assignments. These are the traps that will neither help you to grow by yourself, nor these traps will be helpful to finish your PhD. I understand that you may have seen people completing their PhD through these helpers, but then I will say it is better not to waste your time in PhD if you're not able to ensure your integrity in it. Well, I think this will be helpful to think if you are really prepared to do PhD. I would say one thing that never think that you can not be successful if you are not a PhD. Only thing is to aim for something bigger and then go for it. There are several PhDs who ended up in teaching or desktop researchers, and there are several non PhDs who did fantastic jobs in the field, empirical research, and knowledge production. So, plan your life today with a goal and then start baby stepping towards it. It is never late to be successful. Thank you and best wishes. And of course, you can contact me if you have questions regarding applying for a PhD program or something that you face during the PhD.